Great to have you on the program, Mr. Obi. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Ruben, for inviting me.
Well, let me start by asking, how has the campaign been? What has it been like? And before now, almost every poll put you ahead of others. But I've seen just one recent one that put another person ahead of you. But how has it been?
Well, Ruben, what I've done is to concentrate more on trying to go around and visit all over Nigeria, trying to elucidate to them on the need why they should vote for me and what I offer, or what Labour Party is offering them. So that's my concentration now. Going to places where people have not been before to say to them, what you can call the ungoverned places, to say to them, come, let us build it, that a new Nigeria is possible. We can all come together, sacrificing everything, issues of tribe, issues of religion, and other sentiments, and let's come together and say, we have a country called Nigeria, and that we can start doing the right things in it.
Well, okay, let's talk about some of the major issues. I've seen you in the papers today, some reports quoting you, saying that the currency redesign, which is causing a lot of upset, a lot of, concerns among Nigerians. You were saying it's not peculiar to Nigeria, and that Nigerians should bear with the federal government. But we see these same Nigerians, they can't have access to the new Naira notes, whether at the banking halls or at the ATMs or through POS or through cash swap program. In fact, so bad that people have gone to the streets in parts of Nigeria, in Warri, in Benin, elsewhere, in Ibadan, to protest. And yet you still say, this is a good policy, people should bear with Nigerians. And the president has now said, give me 7 days, we'll look at the problem. Some people are saying, before 7 days' time, many people will be dead.
Well, my position is still, I don't think you read my position or true, but let me restate my position. Currency redesign is not peculiar to Nigeria. This is an exercise that has a long-term economic and social benefits, but comes with a short-term inconveniences and pain. And my appeal still to Nigerians is that we should have patience with the federal government of Nigeria and the Central Bank of Nigeria, while at the same time appealing to Central Bank of Nigeria and the bank to expedite actions that will ensure that this new currency is available to small depositors, small businesses, the unbanked, and people in rural areas. Mine is to be able to make it available to what you can call those at the bottom of the ladder. To make it available, and this, I believe the CBN and this can make available as quickly as possible. Everywhere, Ruben, they've been redesign of currency. In a third world country that I've known, it comes with even what you said, right? Look at what happened in India. Did you watch what happened in India? It was worse than what was happening here. There were riots, there were everything all over the place. But eventually, Indians will tell you today they are better off and their economy benefited better. So for me, and it's worrisome at times when this happened in this country. This was announced on the 26th of October. 26th of November was the month. 26th of December was second month. 26th of January was third month. And I even gave another extra 10 days. And all of a sudden, People are writing up and down and everything, and people are not behaving as if it just came overnight. It didn't come. For me, it is the poor people and those poor people that I'm seeing on the queue that we should deal with as quickly as possible. And I urge CBN, deal with this issue of those small depositors and people who are living in rural areas, on banks and everything, to make it available for small businesses to be able to thrive. It is critical, it's important. I'm also urging Nigerians, bear with them. We've resigned our currency. We can't do anything about it. Now, for me, it's a policy. Government have taken a decision, and we can't be using two currencies at the same time. Can we? Oh, the new one is out. It's in people's hands. Are you going to withdraw it and start using the old one? So, for me, it's a decision that has been taken. Let's go on with it.
Okay, Mr. B, it's good you said, currency redesign is done everywhere. You cited the example of India.
Yes.
November 2016, under Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In fact, the Indian authorities at the time gave 4 hours notice for 1,000 rupees, 500 rupees to be brought back into the system.
Ours is 3 months.
Before then, in 1984, under this same President Buhari, when he was a military head of state, he gave 12 days. There's a popular song by Kolinti Anyala reminding us of it, and he sang about the hardship in Nigeria. This time around, we have had over 100 days, and we're having a repeat of 1984. Why is it that we never get it right here? And how will this policy, in your view, move us from consumption to production, which is your major campaign's message?
Well, that is a different message. The redesigner said it has long-time effect what they're trying to do. But when it comes to the issue of consumption to production, I have said consistently Nigeria is not producing anything. That is why you have all the economic problems you're facing, starting from your unemployment. You have today 35% unemployment with almost over 50% youth unemployment. So you have millions of your youths who don't know where the next meal will come from. That is at the core of your poverty. Because if you say that 133 million Nigerians are living in multidimensional poverty, is because of lack of production. That is the demand of your economic growth. The consequences that you need to deal with it. You're not producing anything. And when I talk about production, the easiest way to show that you're not a producing country is to look at your exports. Look at your food production. Ruben, our country is 200 million people living on 923,000 square kilometers of land. 60% of your arable land are all cultivated, and you're importing food. It shouldn't be. India is 1.4 billion people living on 3.2 million square kilometers of land. They're able to feed themselves and export agricultural products. You live almost on 1/3 of their land, and you're 1/7 of their population. So you have more land for agriculture. So we need to deal with issue. The uncultivated land in the north is our biggest physical asset. If you go into it genuinely supporting small farmers to do an agrarian revolution, which will lead to industrialization, because the entire value chain, which will be export-led, you will see a different thing. One is that, Ruben, you're going to create job at the agricultural level, you're going to create job at the industrial level, and by the time you do export, you'll be able to deal with the issue of what you're suffering today due to your rate of exchange. Your exchange is weak because your reserve is low And your reserve is a result of your export. And if you can export more, because of what I've just said now, you'll be able to stabilize that. Countries that have seen their exchange come down by doing the right things. And Nigeria can do that. Ruben, I've said it in this station before, in 2021, Nigerian total export is 18.9 trillion naira. That is at 650 to the dollar today. That is under $30 billion. Ruben, countries have compared us with, like Vietnam, is 100 million people living in 331,000 square kilometers of land. So they half of our population living on 1/3 of our land. Their total export is over $350 billion. We couldn't do 10% of what they did. And Vietnam's export is almost 90% manufactured goods. That's what I'm saying. That we need to be more productive. By being more productive, we will be able to create jobs. There's a lot we can do today if we do the right things.
Well, yesterday you were in Abeokuta.
Yes.
For a rally. You were supposed also to be in Ibadan, but you couldn't make it to Ibadan because there were protests on the streets of Ibadan. Or was it the day before?
I didn't even know about the protests until maybe, let me tell you what happened.
Okay.
Actually, is that I first had an issue. I was supposed to go to Ibadan using a service of a copter, and I was told they had an issue of fuel. By the time they have finally resolved it about 12:01, they said to me that where I was supposed to land, I shouldn't land there because there's riots. Nobody said to me, they're writing for this or for that. I said, okay, fine. Let me go. I said, let me go. Maybe if I go there and I see the situation is unsafe, I'll go. Ruben, I eventually arrived in Ibadan. But unfortunately for me, when I arrived in Ibadan, where I arrived and everything, I couldn't see the necessary security to escort me to where I was going. So I said, well, listen, I can't just be going. I didn't even know the address of where I'm going. So it was difficult. So I decided to go back. And I apologize most sincerely for those who were waiting for me there. And I'm trying to see what I can do to have a new date to be able to go back there. Because it's not good that people waited for you and you did not show up. I did everything to show up, but it was beyond me.
Well, the protest in Ibadan was about scarcity of naira notes,
okay.
Cash scarcity, which the country faces. It was also about fuel scarcity. Now, this fuel scarcity, the midstream and downstream petroleum resources or regulatory authority has said, NNPC now has up to 1.6 billion liters. But one question that people have been asking is that will this problem of fuel scarcity, will it be solved by removal of subsidy and also local production by local refineries? What do you think?
Well, everybody knows my stand on subsidy. Subsidy needs to go as quickly as possible because for me, it's organized crime. But in doing so, we must put in place aggressive effort to ensure that the local refineries start functional as quickly as possible. Dangote's own is almost completed. And we have other modular refineries all over the place. Some are even ready, but they can't get supply of crude. So these are things we have to resolve as quickly as possible and get production locally to commence in order to reduce the suffering of Nigerians. Just like I said, if currency was what they are writing about, let's do whatever we can do to ensure that the people, less privileged people, do not suffer any longer in Nigeria. They're suffering a lot. For me, the government energy should be on protecting and serving the less privileged, small businesses. That is critical.
Well, let's take on about two or more other issues. Yesterday, when you were campaigning in Abeokuta, you were campaigning on your record as governor for 8 years in Anambra State, how the state won a prize, was recognized for being first in the realization of Millennium Development Goals in Anambra State. But that same Anambra State, the presidential candidate of the APC went there recently, in Oka, and he said he has read the Bible, that Peter in the Bible betrayed Jesus Christ 3 times, and that Peter Obi, who is from this Anambra State, will betray Nigerians. He called you Mr. Stingy, that you said you were saving money. That saving money for what? That if you want to be president of Nigeria, you need a man who will deploy resources to spend to achieve results, not somebody who will sit on resources and you will say he's Mr. Stingy. So I've not seen your response to that, but there's an attempt to, tag this label upon you and make it stick permanently.
Well, Bola Tinubu remains a very respected senior brother anytime, but so he has a right to his opinion. But he forgets to do that even when Peter denied Jesus 3 times, he still made him the head of the church. He still built the church on him. It is the rock on which he built the church. That means that notwithstanding the denial, the God found him wanting to build that rock. And I'm saying that, trust this country to me, I will rebuild it. It will be the same rock on which they will rebuild this country. On stinginess. Because we don't know what is called capital formation. For you to develop, it is a critical thing. Go and read famous economists. Over the years, capital formation is about saving. If you don't save, you can't form capital. And if you don't have capital, you can't develop. Ruben, I was #1 in MDG, which is the only measure of development. The difference between developed and undeveloped place is education and health. I was #1 in education. I was one of the best in health. I was #1 in pulling in issue of pulling people out of poverty. You can go and ask Magnus Bacall, who is in charge then and everything. Ask all the donor agencies, who is governor who comes first to contribute his counterpart funding, it's me. And on top of that, Ruben, when everybody is owing salary, owing pension, owing gratuity, owing contractors, which have collapsed, most of the contractors, I left office not owing one contractor or supplier, not owing pension or gratuity, not doing anything, and ended up saving over 75 billion naira, which nobody have ever done. I did not in any way allocate myself any contract, directly or indirectly, allocate myself any land, directly or indirectly, or become a consultant to any of the company, state agencies, anything, directly or indirectly. I wasn't even entitled to any gratuity or pension to date. So yes, I agree that Peter denied Jesus 3 times. He showed remorse, repented, and Jesus entrusted the church on him. And I'm asking Nigerians to entrust Nigeria on me.
Okay, fair enough. But there's something even more interesting. The governor of Kaduna State, Nasir El-Rufai, says nobody should take you seriously because you will not win. And that you are best a Nollywood actor. Okay, the Actors Guild of Nigeria has responded that he's putting down their profession.
They don't need to protest.
El-Rufai says you can't score more than 1% in Sokoto, 2% in Katsina, maybe 5% in Kano, and that's all there is, and that you should focus on Nollywood.
Well, I thank El-Rufai for what he said. At least he gave me some percentage. You know, so I'm going to work hard to improve those percentage. And he recognized the fact that I'm an actor. And I think part of what is holding this country from development is recognizing those engines that will develop us. One of the most critical places I want to focus is improving our entertainment industry, which includes the Nollywood. And now that I'm a acclaimed actor, I'm asking all those who are involved in the entertainment industry, being one of them, to support me so that I can improve their position. What else can you do when people in your industry, when those who are here have recognized me as one of them, I urge them to support me so that we can be able to ensure that I build their business better.
Okay, but before we go, Mr. Peter Obi, there have been reports of defections from your party to other parties in Ekiti, specifically, in Bauchi, specifically, and even more in Jigawa. And we just have, as it is now, just a matter of days to the presidential election. How are you addressing this division, this defection from your party to other parties?
Quite frankly, Ruben, I'm focused on building a new Nigeria, not on defections. For me today, Nigeria have a huge problem. Ruben, we live in a country today that has huge debts that we don't know where we're going to start dealing with it. We have a country where 139 million people, sorry, 33 million people are in poverty. We have a country with over 20 million out of school children. How do you now worry about who is defecting to what? My concentration is, how do we start pulling people out of poverty? How do we start securing people? People are insecure here. So that's not what will worry me. For example, you mentioned where people are defecting in the north, where I will get 1 vote or where I will get 2 votes. Ruben, I went to Bauchi. You must have heard it because it was in your news. And I went to pay my respect to Tafa Balawa. And I said why did God not give us men like this over the years? This man in 1964 borrowed a first loan, $82 million to build the Kainji Dam to generate 760 megawatts of electricity. I have his letter to the World Bank. I had a reply. Ruben, 59 years after, our debt is 77 trillion naira. I don't know which rate to use, but since my own rate is usually 650, but if I use the government rate, official rate, 410, am I right? That will give you about $187 billion. Ruben, that $82 million then is about, approximately now, about $1,250 million. If you divide it with 187 billion, with 187, it will give you approximately today about 150 Kanji Dams. Where is it? That's what you should be worrying Nigeria. Not that Mr. Obi defected from this place to that place. A new Nigeria is possible. That's what Dati, Baba Ahmed, and myself are offering Nigerians. It is time to do a proper generational change by saying these parties have tried. For the past 20 years, all Nigeria produces insecurity worsened, poverty doubled, out of school children worsened, our primary health care collapsed, deaths, I don't know how, I would say quadrupled down, deaths, you know what deaths, so everything are headed south. We have overtaken India in infant mortality. Fuel scarcity, all sorts of things are going wrong. So for me, our concentration is how do we start reversing this? That's what we should do. Okay. I'm offering myself this job saying this year's election should not be based on tribal, religion, or my turn. It is turn of Nigerians to take back their country and start rebuilding it. If there's anybody who will say turn, is me. I'm a proud Igbo man. I'm a proud Southeasterner. But I'm doing this election as a more proud Nigerian who believes that if I have the opportunity, 5 years, Nigerians will stop saying where they came from. But they will be happy that they're Nigerians because we'll start building a new Nigeria that everybody should be proud of. That is what should be a worry. Not that, oh, this happened or this person defected. For me, let's start now.
Okay, I mean, you've been on the campaign trail. You visited so many parts of the country. But what we're hearing now is that there are many Nigerians that are concerned about whether or not this election will hold. INEC has said the election dates are sacrosanct and there will be elections. But some other people are saying, in fact, fuel scarcity, the combined forces of fuel scarcity and cash scarcity will seem to be an attempt to derail the process and impose an interim national government on Nigeria.
Well, I don't really see how cash scarcity. I don't see how the cash scarcity affects that. Are they going to take their cash now, their voter's card? That is the more reason they should go out and vote. Let's start doing things in a different way. So I don't see any reason why cash scarcity, unless the cash is going to be used for another thing, which I disagree with. Fuel scarcity, all these things can be improved. For me, if we had done the right things by removing subsidy and making sure that this is available, it would have been solved since, Ruben. Let us stop dribbling about Nigerians. Nigeria is a country blessed with a lot of factor endowment for each region and can easily be turned around as quickly as possible. It is time for people, this election should be on character we can trust, on competence, commitment, and above all, compassion for the people suffering masses of Nigeria. This election should be about those who have the mental and physical capacity to deal with this job. Let us not waste, we wasted our time, long time, trying to say, oh, we go this way and everything. Have all these considerations, whether it's tribe, whether it's religion, all those who use all this to come into office. The first victims are those who believe they were saying. I'm offering a new Nigeria.
Well, on that note, I would like to thank you very much, Mr. Peter Obi, presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the forthcoming presidential election in Nigeria on February the 25th.